Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to YCB sessions. Panchapranas. So we have taken one full session on Panchapranas. So there are 5 pranas, Panchapranas: Prana, Udana, Samana, Apana, and Vyana. So Prana is in the chest region. Udana is from head and limbs. Samana is in the navel region, that is in the abdomen. Apana is at the pelvic region, that is after the navel region, used for excreting the gases. Vyana is all over the body. These are the Panchapranas we have discussed. And the correlation of Panchaprana with the 5 elements, that is Panchamahabhutas. So Prana is usually correlated with air. Udana is correlated with water. Apana is correlated with earth. Samana is correlated with fire. Vyana is correlated with the space, that is ether. So these things also we discussed during the time. Next, what are the main functions of pranas? So these are the Pancha Mahapranas. These are the 5 Pancha Mahapranas. So each and everything is, see, this has been discussed in Hatha Yoga Pradipika in chapter 2. So we have given according to the verse also. That is the shlokas. Apana, it is used to eliminate through urinary and excretory system. Usually, Apana helps in the functioning of reproductive organs, that is outward movements, always for excretion, Apana. Prana is the air absorption, pranic absorption in the thoracic region, inward movements, that is we are taking in prana. Samana is the digestion and assimilation. So whatever we are taking inside, that needs to be digested, that whatever the food we are taking, after digestion, the nutrients should be absorbed. We should use the nutrients. So that is done with the help of Samana. Udana is nothing but movement in the throat and facial expression. That is to communicate, to talk with the others. And Vyana is the circulation, blood circulation. So these are the 5 main functions of the Mahapranas. Besides main pranas, there are Pancha Upapranas also. So based on the movements of the Pancha Pranas, there are 5 other Upapranas that have been identified. Number 1 is Kurma, which helps for blinking of our eyes. Krikara, which generates hunger, thirst, sneezing, and coughing. Devadatta, that is for sleep and yawning. Naga, hiccups and belching. Dhananjaya leaves gradually soon after the death. So the one prana which leaves after the death is the Dhananjaya. So these might be coming as which upaprana leaves after death means Dhananjaya. Which upaprana helps for sleep is known as Devadatta. You need to remember these points. Now, what is the main objective of pranayama? Why do we need to do this pranayama? Why it is essential? For asanas, why we are doing asanas? To gain physical strength. Without physical strength, we can't get the mental wellness. So that's why we are doing asanas. We concentrated in the first chapter on asanas to get the physical strength, to get the stability. Okay. So what is now the objective of pranayama? The main objective is to unite the prana with the apana. The prana which is inside, apana which is excretory. We need to unite both prana and apana so that the united prana apana, see here, prana plus apana, prana prana. So when these two are united, the kundalini will be awakened and it will go up to the udghata. Udghata means up towards the sahasra chakra. The main objective is to unite prana and apana. So there are actually many phases and stages explained in pranayama. If you go deeper into the subject, in first phase, when you are practicing pranayama, how we feel in second stage, third stage, fourth stage. It is explained in Gheranda Samhita, not explained in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So now, what are the prerequisites? When to start pranayama? What are the requirements to start the pranayama? This point is also very much important. Pranayama should be practiced perfectly 4 times a day. Early morning, midday, evening, and midnight. And we should start slowly according to our flexibility and according to our speed. How much you can do. It depends upon each and every individual. One individual might hold up to 5 counts. One individual might hold up to 10 counts. Counting in the sense here, when we do an inhale and exhale, if you consider it as 1 count, some people can do only 15 counts of Surya Vedana Pranayama, whereas some people can do up to 30. It means in one sitting. Some people might not be able to do even 8 also. So here, how we are practicing. So the practice should slowly be progressing. It should be progressed up to 80 counts in one sitting. So if you are practicing pranayama, Practice it very slowly. In beginners, while if you are a beginner, just start with 5 rounds, that is 5 counts, slowly increase up to 80 counts. Here, retention, they are saying. Retention means all the 8 Ashtakumbhakas which we have discussed, we need to do Antar Kumbhaka while practicing those. So, Surya Vedana, inhale through your right nostril, then hold the breath, then exhale through left nostril. This is 1 count. So, retention should be practiced. Even Ujjayi Pranayama, when we are doing an inhalation, then you have to do Jalandhara Bhatta, hold the breath and then exhale. So all the Ashtakumbhakas, they are Sahita Pranayamas. So retention is compulsory if you are explaining according to Hatha Yoga test. And the maximum count is 80 counts in one sitting. And we need to do for 4 times a day. This is according to HYP. Now let's see each of the pranayama very briefly, the points. Surya Vedana, inhale through right nostril and exhale through left nostril. So what is the main benefit of Surya Vedana? It purifies the cranium. Cranium means the brain. Inside the brain there will be the cranium part. It will help in purifying the cranium, and it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. And main benefit, it cleanses the forehead and it destroys Vata disorders. Yesterday someone asked, what is the benefit of something they have asked, how to destroy or something related to Vata Pitta Kapha. So Surya Vedana Pranayama, it helps to destroy the Vata disorders. If you are having too much Vata in your body, it will help you to destroy. So always recommend Surya Vedana in winter season, because in winter season, Vata would be increased in our body because of the tamasic environment which is created outside. And if you see in winter only, many people will be suffering from problems of inflammation. They will be getting joint pains. We usually get joint pains because of excessive Vata. So always recommend Surya Vedana during at that time. So limitations, it has not been given in Surya Vedana. In general, we ask people who are suffering from high BP not to do Surya Vedana. So Ujjayi, Ud plus Jayi, as we said, for Udana Pranayama, a person who has done Ujjayi Pranayama is said to be very victorious. Jayam matlab victorious. So a person who can practice this Ujjayi Pranayama, he should be in such a way that even while walking, talking, sleeping, whatever practice it is, this is the only pranayama that could be done either by sitting or standing or walking or running or doing any kind of activity. So that's why a person who does this, it is said that he will be victorious in each and every task. So Ujjayi Pranayama, we need to contract the epiglottis and make the sound. And usually we will be exhaling through the left nostril while doing this Ujjayi Pranayama. That means inhalation, we will close the epiglottis, then hold the breath, then exhale through your left nostril. It could be done in all conditions, as I say, and it removes edema. So water swelling, if there is too much water present in your body. So, and because of water, if your legs are swelling, if your hands are swelling, it will help to remove that water. And it also helps to remove the disorders of the nadis and the dhatus. If there is imbalance between sapta dhatus, Ujjayi Pranayama will help. It promotes internalization of the senses and pratyahara. So a person who wants to start pratyahara practice, so he should get first of all a very good hold on Ujjayi Pranayama. And benefits, it's very good for insomnia. If someone is suffering from sleeping, he can practice this. Mental tensions to reduce, heart diseases. And limitations, a person suffering from low BP and depression, they are not allowed to do Ujjayi Pranayama. Siddhkari. So Siddhkari, as we say, Shita. Whenever Kumbhaka, whenever a pranayama with name Sit comes in prayer, just remember it is as a cooling pranayama. Because in the Viva, they might ask, name any 3 cooling pranayamas, name any 2 heating pranayamas. So if they ask you about cooling pranayamas, you can say about Siddhkari and Zitali. So here we will be rolling up our tongue and then inhaling and then exhaling through your nose. It lowers the body temperature. It balances the endocrine system, reproductive system, digestive system, and it removes the drowsiness or laziness. If you are feeling very drowsy and lazy, you can practice this Siddhkari. People who are suffering from cold and asthma are not allowed to do Siddhkari. And please don't ask Siddhkari and Siddhali to be done in the winter season. It should be done only in the humid and summer seasons. Sitali, it is also similar to cooling pranayama, but here we will be using our teeth to teeth, or we will be using this Kaki Mudra to inhale and exhale. Inhale and then exhale through your nose. It reduces the body temperature and it calms the mind. It purifies blood and improves digestion. Very good for psychosomatic disorders. If a person is having some psychological problems, then Sitali is very good. Limitations the same. Cold and asthma people should not practice it. Now this is Bhastrika. Again, this is a heating pranayama. You have to sit in Padmasana and do fast inhale and fast exhale. Always while doing this pranayama, we need to exhale through the left nostril. What are the benefits? Very good for respiratory disorders, and it increases the hunger, appetite, that is hunger. It strengthens the nervous system, and also it accelerates the metabolic rate. So that's why for the people who are having overweight, we usually recommend to do Bhastrika. It strengthens the nervous system also. Besides this, it helps in cases of tuberculosis, constipation, sciatica, spondylitis, arthritis, whatnot, everything. It increases the physical vitality. It helps in clarity of the mind. Limitations they have not given, but limitation is Bhastrika should not be done. The people with hypertension, they should not do this Bhastrika. Heart problem people also should not do Bhastrika. Then coming to Bhramari or Bhramari. So humming the breath. So after inhaling, we should make a sound similar to the female humming bee. So this is known as Bhramari. As the female humming bee does a systematic, the sound is very systematically the sound comes. So in the same way, we need to make a sound with our throat and with our tongue. With continuous practice of Bhramari, it has been said that the person will become absorbed in the bliss. That means he reaches the Anandamaya Kosha. The bliss state is Anandamaya Kosha. He will be always in a happy state. That is the highest state of yoga. And it is very good for insomnia and good for throat infections and improves the voice. So singers, if some singer comes to you and if he wants to improve his throat and if he wants to improve his singing capacity, always ask them to practice Bhramari. Murcha. So Murcha is nothing but we need to apply Jalandhara Bandha at the end of Puraka. So Rechaka Puraka, while we are doing at the end of Puraka, we should do Jalandhara Bandha and exhale the air very slowly. Actually, when doing Murcha, what happens? It causes the mind to swoon. Swoon in the sense the mind will be stopped for 2 seconds. So usually nowadays, nobody is practicing Murcha and Plavani. If you know someone, you can just see how they are practicing. But I have not seen. I have seen only Plavani once. Benefits clarity of thoughts, reduces mental tension and anxiety. And it also helps in preparation for meditation and enhances the dharana practices. This is Murcha. Plavani, filling the belly with air and then releasing. It reduces hunger, useful in acidity and gastritis. Now comes the Kevala Kumbhaka or Kevali. You have to take a deep breath and hold the breath in Kevala Kumbhaka. There should be no inhalation and exhalation. It should be continued. So, hold at one's ease according to your easefulness. So, it should be hold up 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 60 seconds, or 70 seconds. It depends upon your capacity, individual capacity. In Gerenda Samhita, it has been said that we should retain 1 to 64 times. That is 1 round or up to 64. So it again depends whether you want to do Keval Kumbhaka according to Hatha Yoga Pradipika or Gerenda Samhita. So it depends upon the person. Next comes the Nadi Shodhana. So it is the first pranayama which has been mentioned that it would purify all the nadis. Nadi Shodhana. Shodhana means purification. Purify what? Nadis. So this Nadi Shodhana pranayama, it will purify all the nadis. It can purify the nadis in 3 months. If you are practicing 4 times a day and according to the 80 counts which has been mentioned earlier, if you are doing as per the rules, it will purify all the nadis. So symptoms like boils, pimples, diarrhea, constipation or fever may occur as part in the if you are starting this pranayama to do for 3 months continuously 4 times a day, initially you might see these symptoms, but slowly all the symptoms will be cleared. Because it is trying to purify the nadis, all the toxins are coming out. This can be redressed by correcting one's lifestyle, diet, and asana practice. So these are the 8 pranayamas or 8 kumbhakas which has been mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pratipika.